All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Matt Moda here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Live through the first round of the NBA playoffs every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at exactly this time, 11 a.m. With the way the playoff series are posted with odds and stuff. Hopefully, every stream will be able to cover every game. So for today, there are technically only two games tonight, but we have every series playing tomorrow and Sunday. So I'm going to have a pick for every single game. And I'm also going to give out series predictions and game one predictions as well. So it's going to be a lot going on with these streams. As obviously for today specifically, it's a two playing games. I'm going to have multiple picks for each of those games as well. And then, as I mentioned, going through each series. The only one that I won't cover are just the two series that are undecided based on the games tonight. So it's going to be very fun. Make sure to check out these streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you are not already. And then get all your questions, all your comments, all your everythings in the chat. Whenever you see me look over, all I'm doing is I'm just monitoring the chat. It's always more fun the more interactive that you guys can be in the chat. So please don't hesitate to get anything in. Hopefully, I should be able to give advice for any types of plays that you want advice on, because I did look a lot more into the playoff games just to make sure that I had all the angles covered. So whether you want betting advice about like specific bets that you like, or whether you just want to shout out a play that you like in a game that I didn't give out, whatever it may be, get all that stuff in the chat. And then, of course, you can find me on social media at my handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modai. But we can get right into it. So first game that we're going to talk about is the Bulls versus Heat game. And I'm going to take my first play here is Coby White over 2.5 made three-pointers, minus 135 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So I tweeted this out at minus 115 last night. So if you a reason to follow me on Twitter would be for stuff like that, but I still like it at the minus 135 number. So I'm still comfortable giving it out at that number. And that's what we will officially track for these streams as well, is the minus 135 number. But I think this is an excellent spot for Coby White. Everybody's going to want to hammer his points specifically, but I actually like his three-pointers way, way better for this game. So he scored 40 plus points. I think it was 42 exactly last game against the Hawks. He did that despite only shooting 3 of 7 from deep. So if he had a crazy outlier 3-point game specifically, I probably wouldn't be on this play, but only going 3 of 7 is pretty reasonable. And the Hawks defense is insane. I'll get to your question after this play. But for the Hawks, the Hawks defense is remarkably different than the Heat defense. The Heat defense, they don't give up really anything inside. They're one of the best teams at covering pick and roll ball handlers. They're one of the best teams at guarding isolation scores. They just don't give up a lot inside. But the way that they play defense leads to a lot of catch and shoot, a lot of spot up 3-point opportunities. And if you just look at positions and how defenses guard props versus certain positions, the Heat are listed as literally the best matchup in the entire NBA when it comes to shooting guard 3-point props, meaning they are the best matchup from a prop perspective, meaning they in terms of what the over-under is priced at and how many players go over, the Heat are the number one defense you want to target for shooting guard 3-point props. Now, you have to look into that because not all shooting guards are created equal, right? There's some shooting guards that are basically the de facto point guard that don't spot up a ton, that don't have a lot of catch and shoots. You need to look into why the Heat allow so many 3-point opportunities as shooting guards. And it's because of the way they play defense. They throw a ton of exotic looks at the offense. They try as much as they can to stop the main scorer from scoring. Now, I think that's probably DeRozan. Maybe it's going to be Coby White because he just went off for 40 points. But I think DeRozan's going to get the majority of the treatment from the Heat defense. But it also leads to guys like Nick Batum to be able to go off from 3-point range. There's a reason why he shot 6 of 10 from deep. It's because the Heat refused to let Embiid or Maxey beat them. Embiid also made 2 3-pointers because they said, you're not going to beat us inside. Excuse me. And if you look at the entire season, the Heat allowed the second most points per game in the entire NBA via spot-up shot opportunities, and the 6th most catch-and-shoot 3-point opportunities as well. And that's, again, in the entire NBA over the entire season. That just goes to show you that they'll sell out to stop the individual scorer, and they'll allow these catch-and-shoot spot-up opportunities. Excuse me. And not only does Coby White score the most via spot ups on the Bulls team. And I was shocked to see this. He actually is tied for scoring literally the most points in the entire NBA via spot ups as well. He was tied with 4 or 5 other guys, but still literally scored the most points per game via spot ups in the entire NBA. And he's basically the only player on the Bulls who's turned himself into an above average shooter from deep. DeRozan doesn't like to shoot from there. Vooch doesn't really like to shoot from there, and his percentage has really plummeted recently. Even Caruso, whether he plays or not, is not a high volume shot attempt guy like Coby White is. And Coby White also averages the second most catch and shoot 3-point opportunities on the Bulls as well. He's only behind Vooch, but Vooch doesn't shoot nearly at the same volume overall. So Coby White will have a little bit more pull-up opportunities, and then he also catches and shoots as well. And if you keep all that in mind, and you look at Coby White and how he performs against the Heat in his last 4 games, 10, 8, 11, 10 3-point attempts, and he's made 4 in every single game against the Heat this year. He's made 4 3-pointers. Well, actually, he did it in 2 of 3 games last year as well. So he has an incredible track record specifically against the Heat. And I think part of that is because of the way they play defense. So Sam is asking about Keegan Murray. I agree. So Keegan Murray has a really, really good matchup tonight. I didn't go with him because it's just too, like, betting on someone after they made 10 3-pointers is what he made. Like, eventually that shooting is going to start swinging the other way. And maybe he stays in another hot streak tonight. I just think that it was it was just a little too much for me. So that's not where I went in the Kings Pelicans game. And I think the Bulls can win even with Jimmy Butler out. I would still take the Miami Heat to win. They have too many guys, they're too well coached, and we've seen them pull these games out of their heinies before. So I would actually take the Heat to win. The next play in this game is Bam Adebayo over 5.5 assists plus 135 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So this line opened up at Bam over 3.5 assists for minus 132. If you wanted to get over 4.5, it was in the plus 130s. If you look right now, over 4.5 is wildly priced in like the minus 140s last I checked. I think the best value here is on the 5.5 assists. And it's all because of the no Jimmy Butler means added playmaking opportunities for Bam Adebayo. And I really think I like the playmaking matchup for him as well against the Bulls. The Bulls allowed literally the most catch and shoot 3-point attempts in the entire NBA. And with no Jimmy Butler, they're just going to surround Bam with catch and shoot type of shooters. Now, Caleb Martin isn't a high volume guy, but he still can catch and shoot. Then you have Jovic, you have Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, who knows how much he's going to play after barely playing, if he played at all in the last game. But even Jaquez made 2 3-pointers last game against the 76ers. And if you look at the last 10 games he's played without Jimmy Butler, so he cashed the over 3.5 number, which is what I gave out initially. 9 of the last 10 games. The more important number here is that he's averaging 9 potential assists in the same 10-game stretch that he's played without Jimmy Butler, averaging about 6 actual assists as well. That's why I'm still on the plus 135 number, the over 5.5 assist number at plus 135. With Jimmy off the court, he sees the biggest assist increase per 36 minutes. He averages almost 2 more assists per game per 36 minutes without Jimmy Butler on the court. And 36 minutes, I'd be shocked if he played any less than that, any fewer than that tonight. I know he only played 30 against the Sixers, but Embiid put him in foul trouble. That's not going to happen against the Bulls. For context, the last play-in game against the Bulls, he played about 37 minutes, not quite the 40-minute number, but still 37 is a lot. He's also cashed the over 3.5 assist number in both games against the Bulls. So his floor is there in this specific matchup. And it's just because of the way the Bulls play defense. They allow it kind of similar to the Heat, but even worse, allowing a ton of catch and shoot opportunities. Someone on the Heat will go off from 3-point range. I wasn't sure who it was going to be. So instead I went with the Bam assist angle. Matthew Chalk asking about his points. I'm guessing you mean points plus assists, not points plus points. I actually don't love the points angle for Bam as much. The Bulls defense, despite they don't have a great big man defender, they're so aggressive packing the paint that they don't allow a lot of points to centers. So I actually don't love the points angle for Bam. I just like the assists. Alicia, welcome. Says hi. Welcome. I don't know if that's your real last name, but welcome. I guess Matt, I didn't even see that you corrected yourself. So yeah, I would just personally stick with the assists. I don't love the points angle for Bam. So A couple bangers that we've already locked in here. You see all the best, most up-to-date odds here on DraftKings. And talking about DraftKings here, the 82 game basically preseason, because we know nobody really cares about the regular season, even though I love the NBA regular season. You can find some great value on player props. More in reality, that is the preseason. That's in the books. It's finally time for the real season of the NBA to start. You're not going to want to miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Starting with the play-in tournament, we got the two last games of the play-in tournament tonight, all the way through the finals. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with SGPs, meaning same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts. I mean, they do a ton of odds boosts and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend checking out all the promotions that DraftKings does. Much more than and all that stuff that I mentioned. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code NBA Bets, and new customers can bet $5, turn that into $200 in bonus bets instantly. So, how many units? What's your unit size? $10 unit size. You bet 2 units, you get 20 units in bonus bets for DraftKings if you are new. That's code NBA Bets only at DraftKings. The crown is yours. Mike Thompson, happy Friday to you as well. All right, now for the Kings versus Pelicans game. First up, I'm taking Brandon Ingram over 25.5 points plus assists, minus 105 odds at DraftKings. So unlike the Bam play previously, I do like both the points and the assist angle for Brandon Ingram. This is mostly a play because of the matchup and because of no Zion Williamson. When Zion is off the floor for the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram has an increased usage rate and an increased passing rate as well. Now, usage rate means any possession that ends in a shot attempt or a foul shot. So it doesn't take into account passing at all. And Brandon Ingram, again, his usage and his passing go up without Zion. That's why I'm combining the two as opposed to just taking one, because I like both. I mean, if you want to like double, a lottery ticket on him to record a double for Brandon Ingram, I don't think is terrible. I might end up locking that in. And one thing with this play is you can't just look at hit rate for this play. You can't just see Brandon Ingram's only cashed this in one of his last 10 games. Why is this a play? Now, that includes both games that he's played since he returned from injury. That he only played 23 and 25 minutes in both of those games. He was ramping back up from the knee injury that he suffered. I have a hard time seeing him play limited minutes once again tonight in a do or die game for the Pelicans. And they might rather have played the Thunder in the first, not might. They would rather play the Thunder in the first round than the Nuggets. Now, that might be fool's gold because that Thunder team is awesome. But if they win tonight, they could easily beat the Thunder. So they're going to go all out to win tonight. Not that they would have if they couldn't beat the Thunder, but you know what I mean? It's an important game. I have a hard time seeing him playing, again, 25 minutes. And if you look at the last 10 games that he's played specifically without Zion, he's cashed it in 7 of the last 10 games. 9 of those games happened this season. And in the 3 games that he did not go over 25.5 points plus assists, he had 23, 23, and 21. So yeah, that's still an under, but it shows that the floor is there. And if you look at this year, he averages 7 more points per 36 minutes and 2 more assists per 36 minutes without Zion on the floor. I'm guessing he's going to play the 36 minute mark tonight, even though that would be a pretty big increase from what he's currently played. It's just a do or die game for the Pelicans. And yeah, I mean, Sam asking, I thought he was hurt or banged up. I don't know. They said before the game that he wasn't going to have a minutes restriction. So maybe that is the risk here, is that he does play limited minutes, but he's going to have such a high usage rate and such a high assist rate that maybe he only gets 30 minutes and he could still cash it. But I think he's going to play more than that. I also think this is a really, really good matchup for Brandon Ingram. He's cashed this in 3 of the 4 games that these two teams have played this year, and he cashed it in both games against the Kings last year. So if you combine the previous 2 seasons, he's cashed it in 5 of 6. And in those 6 games, he's averaging 5.5 assists, more importantly, on over 10 potential assists, and he's averaging about over 24 points per game. That's per game, not per 36, per game against the Kings. And this all makes sense. Like if you just look at the matchup, the Kings allow the 3rd most points per game to Brandon Ingram's shooting profile. They allow the 5th most assists to his playmaking style. So we could get burned if he doesn't play, if he only plays again another 25 minutes. I would just be surprised to see that happen. And CJ McCollum is not a bad play for this game either. He was horrible last game. So a great bounce back, great fade of recent results. I just thought this was a better matchup for Brandon Ingram, which is why I went with that play. All right, I do have another play in this game. Jonas Valanciunas double-double plus 160 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This is another both a matchup play and a play because of the injury to Zion. But even if you don't even take into account the Zion factor, you just look at Valanciunas' history against the Kings with Sabonis. It's incredible. And I do think there's something to that because Valanciunas can have very spotty minutes. Against the Suns, he might only play 4 minutes because the Suns are going to put him in a pick and roll and shoot a bunch of jumpers. Against the Kings, they need him to match up with Sabonis. And he's cashed this in 6 of the last 7 games dating back to last season. Sorry, let me start that over. He's had at least 10 rebounds. That's what I meant to say. At least 10 rebounds in 6 of the last 7 games he's played against the Kings. He's also done it in all 5 games this year. Now, the reason why he's played the Kings 5 times is because they played in the play-in tournament. So 4 as part of their normal schedule and then 1 extra game in the play-in tournament. Literally got 10 rebounds in all 5 games this season. That's his rebounds. Now let's talk about the points. Even better. His mainline point total over under is about 12.5. But if you just look at the 10-point number, which is all we need, obviously, to get a double-double, he's cashed 10 or more points in every single game he's played against the Kings in the last 2 seasons, which of course includes all 5 games this year as well. And only once did he score under 13 points. So if you want to just not even risk the rebounds and just play his points at 12.5, I don't think that's a bad play, but I like the value of the double-double, especially for plus 160 odds better. And if you look at his minutes against the Kings, he averages over 27 minutes per game against the Kings. He should get another 27 plus minutes tonight, if not like maybe even 30 plus because they need him in the Sabonis matchup. And if you look at the games in which he's played 27 minutes, so not even the 30 number, just the 27, which is his average against the Kings, he's gotten 10 rebounds in 18 of 26 games, a massive hit rate. And he's gotten 10 points in all 26 games that he's played in this season while playing 27 or more minutes. None of that took into account Zion Williamson being out, which is only going to help Valanciunas from both the scoring and a rebounding perspective. So at plus 160, I thought this was a smash play. Of the 4 plays tonight, if you're taking into account the odds, I think this is the best value play. Most likely to hit is the Coby White over 2.5 3-pointers, but that's also at minus 135 odds, so that's reflected in the odds. Just from a value perspective, this play's awesome. And Mike Thompson, I agree. Ingram's back. He was just on a minutes restriction last game, but I'll probably play his usual minutes tonight with no Zion in a do-or-die game. I mean, that's exactly what I said. You said it way more succinctly than I did. All right. That's the 2 playing games tonight. I know that took a while, but the next ones will be a little bit shorter. But before I get into the next ones, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. If you're looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than the exclusive Discord community that Betting Pros has created at bettingpros.com/chat. In the Discord, they have gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free picks for whatever's going on in that current sports season. So right now, we're talking MLB, we're talking NHL, we're talking NBA playoffs, golf, WNBA starting soon. You'll get that. You'll get soccer. Anything you can look for, you can find in the Discord, along with player props, live betting, futures, much more. Get in on the action. Connect with like-minded sports betting enthusiasts such as yourselves. Elevate your own betting strategy by getting insights from the pros. Join us in the Discord today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level at bettingpros.com/chat. You told me, Mohanican, you told me how to pronounce your name last stream. I forgot. I'm just going to call you Skywalker because I love that last name in your YouTube profile. As a Jedi Modai, obviously I got to love a Skywalker. I even know a little bit of a checkered past, but we don't need to have a Star Wars conversation. All right, so the next series playing tomorrow morning is the Magic versus Cavaliers. And I got to be honest, I have no idea what to do with this series. I lean towards the Cavs winning. And if I had to give out a play for this game, it would be Donovan Mitchell over 25.5 points. I'm not making that an official play by any means. There's too much uncertainty around it. But if you just think about Donovan Mitchell and how he's played against the Magic and what his point total over under normally is, you're getting a huge value, but he also might not be healthy, which is why it's priced the way it is at 25.5. So I'm not touching it as an official play. If you're dying to bet that series or to bet that game, again, I lean Cavs to win. I lean Donovan Mitchell points. Neither of which do I have my own money on, just to be completely upfront. What I do have money on, and a play that I do like, in the Suns, in the Suns versus Timberwolves. Actually, But so I think the Heat win tonight. I said that. I also should give a prediction. I think the Pelicans, even without Zion, I think they win tonight against the Kings as well. I just want to get that prediction out there. Sorry. Now for the Suns versus Timberwolves. For this series, I actually lean the Timberwolves winning the series, even though I think that's a little bit of a hot take because the Suns have Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. I actually like the Timberwolves. And I also lean towards them winning and covering game one as well. Last I checked, that spread was -1.5. That's where I lean as well. My official play here is the Anthony Edwards over 5.5 rebounds, -105 odds per DraftKings. This was +104 last night. Quickly got the minus money went away, or the plus money went away. I like it at the -105 number. And I think this is a really good spot for Anthony Edwards and his rebound prop. But I think it's a good spot for a lot of reasons. A, the matchup against the Suns is good. Just if you isolate that alone from Anthony Edwards' rebounding perspective, it's a heightened playoff atmosphere. You're going to get a more intense Anthony Edwards. He's probably going to play increased minutes as well, assuming this game isn't a total blowout. So to start with the matchup, the Suns are one of the highest frequency of jump shot teams in the NBA. In general, teams that shoot more jump shots, that leads to more rebounds for guards than it does to centers. There's a bunch of reasons why. Number one, the farther the shot is from the basket when it's taken, the farther it careens off the rim. So that means it's not, if like a miss around the rim, that's going to stay around the rim, a much easier rebound for a center. Also, the Suns are going to try and get Rudy Gobert out of the paint. They're going to want to put him in pick and rolls, make him guard space. So that probably means even if, Anthony Edwards, more opportunity for rebounds if Rudy Gobert is pulled away from the basket. Now, Rudy Gobert, his under rebounds could be another good play. I like this more for Anthony Edwards over, which is why I'm going with that. And if you look at his Anthony Edwards' last two games against the Suns, 8 rebounds, 6 rebounds. He only missed it in the first game where he had 4 rebounds. But that first game was played back in November. He only played 30 minutes in that game. The last 2 games were played in April. I put a lot more emphasis on those games than I do the one back in November. And again, even though this is a game one, they're not going to be they're going to play Anthony Edwards heavy minutes. They're not going to be shy about playing his minutes. And if you just isolate games in which Anthony Edwards has played 36 or more minutes, and he'll probably play 40 tonight, but we're just looking at the 36 number. He's gone over 5.5 rebounds in 25 of 40 games. That's a hit rate of 63%. Really good play for Edwards. Sam Young, I went to the Cavs game live when they clinched against the Pacers. Trust that Mitchell is back and was driving to the hole. He looked really good last game he played. Hey, that's the case. Some live reporting. I love it from Sam. If Donovan Mitchell is fully healthy, then you're getting a steal at his point total. So if you trust Sam's analysis that Donovan Mitchell's healthy, which of course I trust Sam with my life, then that is a pretty good play. Next game is the 76ers versus Knicks game 1. I actually lean towards the Knicks winning and covering in game 1, but I'll also actually lean towards the Sixers winning the series overall. Now you're going to call me a homer because I'm a Sixers fan. Trust me, nobody doubts the Sixers in the playoffs more than I do, but I think this is a really good matchup for them because they can do a really good job not letting Brunson beat them. And with Nick Nurse's creative defense, I don't necessarily see them getting annihilated by Brunson like they would if Doc Rivers was still coaching the team. So if you want to get some value, you could take my advice on betting the Knicks to win and cover game 1 and then bet the Sixers series price if they lose. Now, if they win, obviously you're going to get a horrible price on that. But after that, but if they win or if they don't, then you're getting a really good price and probably getting pretty good CLV as the series goes on. None of that is our official plays. Those are just my leans. My official play is Jalen Brunson over 7.5 assists, plus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This line opened up at plus 135, got that down to plus 115, and I totally understand why. His point total is all the way up at 30.5, and Jalen Brunson's awesome. I like the angle for his assists a lot better. For starters, if you just look at games he's played with OG Anunoby and without Julius Randle, which will be the case today, it's really, really good from an assist perspective. Granted, it's only a 9-game sample size, so it is a relatively low sample size, but in those 9 games, he averages about 13 potential assists and 7 actual assists. And if you look at the 3 games he went under, so he cashed this in 6 of 9 games this year. That's a very nice number. The 3 games he went under, he scored 45, 42, and 39 points. Now, he could always put up a 40 burger against the Sixers. That's not how I expect to play them to play him. I think they're going to be aggressive, not quite to the same extent as the Heat, but Nick Nurse's coaching style. He's not just going to let Jalen Brunson walk into mid-range jumpers like a team like the Bucks would. And if you just isolate it to games that he's played with OG Anunoby and not take into account the Julius Randle factor, he's cashed 8 or more assists in 14 of 23 games. That's a hit rate of 61%. And if you just look at the games he's played against the Sixers, not look at any other splits, don't care whether OG Anunoby played or didn't, whether Julius Randle played or didn't, Jalen Brunson has cashed 8 or more assists in each of the last 3 games against the Sixers, and he cashed it in 3 or 4 games overall this year. In the last 3 games that he cashed, in all 4 of those games, so even including one where he missed, 10 potential assists, which isn't great, 20, 12, and 12. Those last 3 are pretty good. And I just think this is the style of defense the Sixers are going to play against Jalen Brunson. They're not going to let him kill them from a scoring perspective, saying anybody else begging you to beat us. Now, they're going to get some catch and shoot opportunities with DiVincenzo and with OG Anunoby, and they're going to get some pick and roll. They are going to get some pick and roll action with Embiid selling out to stop Brunson from scoring, leaving a dump off to a Hartenstein, something like that. So that's kind of why I like him from an assist and not a scoring perspective. Let's hope that comes to fruition. And we have 3 more plays plus our same game parlay of the day as well. But the last thing, before we get into those 3, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros app, bettingpros.com/apps. You can find on the app the prop bet cheat sheet, amazing tool. On the tool, you can find recommended picks based on the current lines that sportsbooks are offering, along with the Betting Pros projections as well. And you can sort by multiple different metrics. You can sort by highest possible positive expected value play. You can sort by most likelihood a play hitting, by the biggest gap between Betting Pros projections and what the sportsbooks are offering if you want like ladder opportunities, stuff like that. You can tell me, I have the bet sync function, which I'll talk about in just a second, but you can tell all my picks on that. Bettingpros.com/Modi is a link to my profile. You can also get a free trial to the premium offering. If you download the Betting Pros app, you get access to a premium offer. You get access to a free trial, to their premium offering. And then, as I mentioned, they do have a bet sync function. So you can sync all of your bets through all the different sports books directly through the Betting Pros app. So you don't need to manually go in and track everything. Phenomenal tool. Bettingpros.com/apps. All right. Home stretch, 3 more plays. Lakers versus Nuggets game. I think it's the last game played tomorrow. I think the Nuggets win this series in 5 games. I think maybe not a sweep like it was last year, but I do think that they comfortably win. But I also do think that the Lakers cover the spread in game 1. 7.5 is just too high for my liking. So Nuggets win the series in 5. Lakers cover game 1. My official play is Michael Porter Jr. over 3.5 first quarter points. Now, this isn't really a play because of this. I like his specific matchup against the Lakers or anything like that. Michael Porter Jr. just consistently scores more in the first quarter than he does the rest of the game. Now, this isn't my logic for this is not confirmed, but my thoughts are they specifically run more plays for him in the first quarter because they want him to be engaged on the defensive end and from a rebounding perspective as well. This is something that teams do with big men a lot. A big man that isn't traditionally someone that scores a lot. They'll run plays for them in the first quarter, especially at the beginning of the game, because they're going to need that big plotting center to be aggressive and locked in on defense. That's what I think they're doing with Michael Porter Jr. He's turned himself he's always been a pretty decent rebounder. The really impressive part is he's actually turned himself into a plus team defender as well. He still can't quite move his hips quickly enough one-on-one, but he does a really good job as a team defender when they're rotating off of, like if they double, they switch on a screen, rotating off the shooters and stuff. He does a great job specifically with that. And they're going to need him to do that. And my assumption is they get him more shots in the first quarter to keep him engaged on defense. And the stats, regardless of whether my logic is correct, the stats bear out that he attempts and shoots way more in the first quarter than the rest of the game. So he's cashed 4 or more points in 7 of the last 10 games, 11 of the last 15, and 25 of the last 30. And on the entire season, he's done it in 56 of 81 games. He hits this 70% of the time on a massive sample size of the entire season. Now, he did miss it. He did miss it in the last 2 games of the regular season, but those 2 games were against the Spurs and the Grizzlies, not quite a matchup against the against the Lakers. And he cashed this in all 3 games against the Lakers this year. And in 4 of 6 games last year, and that doesn't include the playoffs last year, he cashed it in 2 of the 4 playoff games, all 3 games this year, and then the 2 regular season games last year. So I think it's going to be very similar. First quarter props for Michael Porter Jr. are what you are going to want to go with. If he misses it tonight, I might honestly double down for game 2, but we'll see. Next up, Mavericks versus Clippers. I am taking Luka Doncic over 8.5 rebounds, minus 125 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This is a game I also think the Mavericks win the series and win game 1, especially because I don't think Kawhi is healthy. But getting this number at 8.5, I feel as though it's just a complete gift for Luka Doncic, especially in a playoff game against the Clippers. I mean, he's going to be fired up for any playoff game, but especially against the Clippers, who bounced the Mavericks from the playoffs 2 years in a row back in 2020 and 2021. And I think that this price being at 8.5, this number is crazy. He's literally gone over 8.5 rebounds in 10 of his last 10 games and 14 of his last 15 games and 25 of his last 30. Sorry, I was reading a comment. I don't know. I don't understand why this is priced at 8.5 and not 9.5. Maybe that's a sign that this is a square play, but for minus 125, I think we're getting a gift. Luka's also cashed this in 4 of his last 6 games against the Clippers specifically. That dates back to last year. Granted, he only did it in 1 of 3 games this year, but that doesn't really scare me off. Even with no Kawhi, I think this is going to be a tight series. I think it's going to be a tight game 1. And he's probably going to play 40 plus minutes, save for blowouts. So I would be shocked if this line doesn't close at 9.5. So if you lock this in at 8.5 right now, I would be very confident that you're getting a good price. And even if it doesn't, I still think this is a really good play. The Sixers are, there's the poster child for unreached potentials. That is true. They have yet to show up in the playoffs. So maybe it's dumb to think that they can beat the Knicks. And if they get smoked in game 1, I might disagree with my logic that they win the rest of the series. So maybe you just stick with the Knicks game 1. But the last game that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get into our same game parlay, is the Pacers versus Bucks. I'm taking Bobby Portis over 28.5 points plus rebounds, minus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So I lean towards the Pacers winning game 1 and winning this series as well. I'm laughing at a comment. I'm not reading that. Would not trust them with my money. Yeah, that's a fair point. Maybe just stick to the Knicks game 1 in the Brunson assists. But for this play for Bobby Portis, it's kind of similar to Brandon Ingram, where you're going to look at his recent 10 games, his recent hit rate, and say, why is this a play? It's too high. But with no Giannis in the matchup against the Pacers, totally makes sense why this number is so high. Bobby Portis has cashed the over 28.5 points plus rebounds in 5 of the last 7 games he's played with Giannis, and in 5 of 9 games specifically this season. So he missed it in the first 2 games of the year without Giannis, and he missed it in the most recent 2 games without Giannis as well. So he cashed it in the 5 middle games. But one of the games he missed, he only played 21 minutes. That's not going to happen tonight. They're going to need him to play heavy minutes. And it's an excellent matchup for Portis from a scoring and a rebounding perspective. So I think the ceiling is there for both of these stats individually, which is why I combine them. This season, the Pacers allowed the 4th most points per game to Bobby Portis' shooting profile, the 3rd most points per game to his scoring profile. Now, only 13th to his rebounding profile, so that doesn't look as juicy just from that specific metric. But with no Giannis, Bobby Portis rebounding skyrockets. In games with Giannis, he averages 7 rebounds per game. In games without Giannis, he averages over 10 per game. So I like this. Comments are very funny. I like this spot for Bobby Portis a lot. The 28.5 number is high, but for good reason. So I'm pretty confident in this play as well. And then as for our same game parlay, it's a pretty juicy one, but it's for the Bulls versus Heat game. It's plus 950 odds, I should say. I'm taking Heat money line. I'm taking Coby White 4+ made 3-pointers, and I'm taking Bam Adebayo 6+ assists. So 2+ money bangers with White 3-pointers and Bam assists. And then coupling that off with Heat money line, who I do think win outright. That was my same game parlay of the day. If you're looking to build your own same game parlay, check out the Betting Pros same game parlay builder. In that same game parlays, you combine multiple bets within a single NBA game, leveraging and using the Betting Pros same game parlay builder. You can leverage a bunch of different insights to build your SGP. Correlated bet recommendations. How correlated are these bets are together? Meaning if one hits, another one is likely to hit as well. You can just strictly look at positive expected value ratings. So you don't care about correlation. You just want to lock in the highest positive EV plays. You can also look at cover probability. So what's the highest likelihood that these plays actually hit? Much more. Perfect your betting strategy by analyzing Betting Pro's overall correlation grades and projections. Stay ahead by following the latest SGPs placed by fellow bettors on the app. Start winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. And that's all we got. 9 official plays plus some leans for every series and game ones. Let's hope we have a beautiful weekend cashing a bunch of bangers. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. It was a pretty active chat, which I love. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Make sure to hit me up on social media. And that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching, and I'll check with you on Monday.